What was the breaking point for you?
Well, I really wasn't trying to make a big deal about it. I just kind of snuck out, and the press found out, and so I sent the tweet out just explaining. But the lies just started to add up. I mean, it started out with disgracefully not shaking Nancy Pelosi's hand, then the blue-collar boom. When I represent a district that lost 4,000 General Motors jobs, you can go to the Foxconn deal in Wisconsin, you can go to Carrier in Indiana, you can go to Harley-Davidson in that area. So he was lying, Lawrence, and just the lies started to add up. He's talking about the glorification of God. This is a guy who paid off porn stars because he was having sex with them when his wife was pregnant. I mean, give me a break. I mean, how much can a guy take sitting there listening to this stuff? And I just snuck out and went to FaceTime my 5-year-old son before he went to bed.
I think many members would agree with you on the Democratic side that was a better use of your time. I want to read you Seth Moulton's tweet, and your tweet was 9:57 p.m. I think I misspoke and said 7:57. So that's about 50 minutes into the speech. You'd had enough of it. Seth Moulton tweeted, "I left the State of the Union after Trump, a draft dodger who mocked Senator John McCain, Gold Star families, and soldiers with traumatic brain injury, started talking about the good he has done for our military." And as you know, of course, Seth Moulton, a combat veteran, multiple tours of duty in combat, and like yourself, a former presidential candidate. So you may have started a little bit of a stampede.
Well, we could go through, and I heard Stephanie Ruhle on earlier talking about the economics. Obama had more job creation in the last 3 years than Trump did in his first 3 years. We can go through the prescription drug deal. We can go through him talking about pre-existing conditions and helping people on health care, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I think for me, he's a divider. I mean, the country wants to heal. The country wants to come together, Democrats and Republicans, and he's just dividing. There was that beautiful moment with the Tuskegee Airmen in the grandson. Beautiful moments, right? 30 seconds later, he's going after immigrants. I mean, stop. Just stop. The country wants to come together. We're tired of the fear. We're tired of the division. We want to heal. And he's throwing gasoline on all these cultural rifts and trying to benefit politically from them, which I think could be his undoing as we move into the fall.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.